Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're doing well on this Thursday. I believe it's February the 5th, if I'm not mistaken, is the date. And we're at June 10th date, third game on June the 10th. And it's going to be at Tiger Stadium. Game between actually, it's the fourth game. I take it back. It's the fourth game on June 10th. We're at Tiger Stadium, Milwaukee Brewers, Detroit Tigers. Game number 396 overall in the replay. Tiger Stadium, not very friendly for singles, 2 and a 1, but very friendly to home runs, 14 and 11. Milwaukee won this game real world 8-5. We have starting pitchers Len Barker for the Brewers and Walt Terrell for the Tigers, two right-handers. Barker 2-0 so far on the replay. It was 2-1 real world, 5.36 ERAs, 2-0. Doesn't get many starts, so this is one of his few starts remaining. And Walt Terrell is 6-1. He was 17-10 real world, 6-1 on the replay. Again, no Paul Molitor, so Jim Pashork will lead off and play third base. All the other lineup areas seem to be pretty standard from what you would expect for these two teams. So that shouldn't be any surprise for anybody. We'll bring the Strat computer up and get this ball game underway. Get the full numbers on Walt Terrell. Again, on the season, he was 17-10 with a 4.05 ERA. On the replay, he is 6-1 with a 4.09 ERA. So very, very similar. His stats falling in line pretty well. 70 innings pitched, 83 hits, 22 walks, and 41 strikeouts. And again, that also fits in pretty well because he did give up 9 more hits than innings pitched in the real season. So he gotten some good run support. That's why he's 6-1 right now. Tigers have given him decent run support in the past. All right, so Jim Pashork, third baseman, will be the leadoff man. Like I said, Molitor, I believe, is still on the roster. Let me double-check that as far as I knew from last time he was on the roster. Yeah, he's there. He's just not starting today for whatever reason. So Jim Pashork will be the third baseman to lead off. Pashork, on the replay, is hitting .245, a homer and 7 driven in. He hit 228 real world. So doing a little bit better. Got our dice right here, ready to go. Detroit 35-18. I'm sorry, Milwaukee 35-18 in front of Detroit, who's 32-22. So Detroit with the win, obviously would bridge that gap a little bit closer. A loss and they'll fall further back. So when you're playing the leader head-to-head, it's a very important game. And of course, before the first pitch, we have the ceremonial first sip. That's mandatory on these morning games. And that is some good coffee. All right, so we are ready to roll. Pashork stepping in against Walt Terrell. Get a 4-7, and that's going to be a ground ball second base X. So right off the bat, Lou Whitaker, 2E20. 2-16, he'll get to that. E20 is the question, and that is a 12. So we're looking at E20 for second baseman. Make sure there's no 12. And there's a 13 there, but no 12. So good play for Whitaker. Hello, Dr. D. Good play by Whitaker. Gets the first out of the inning. Gets the Tigers off to a good start anyway. And that'll bring up Robin Yount, center fielder. Yount on the replay. He's hitting .315, 12 homers, 45 driven in. He hit .312 real world. That's a 3-9 for Yount. He's going to ground it to Trammell at short. Quickly 2 up and 2 down. And that'll send us to Cecil Cooper, the designated hitter. Cooper hitting .221 on the replay, 6 homers, 18 driven in. He hit .248 real world. Or is it .240? Let me see here. .248, okay. 6-8, and that's going to be a 1-2 single, and that's going to be a line out to Whitaker to end the inning. So 1, 2, 3 go the Brew Crew. Go the bottom of the first. Milwaukee nothing. Tigers coming to bat, and Len Barker, who was 2-1 with a 5.36 ERA on the real season, And let me check his starts, how many starts he had for the real season. See how many we got left here. He makes 11 starts. This is start number 3. He was 2-1 real world with a 5.36 ERA. On the replays, 2-0 with a 3.29 ERA. So he's done obviously remarkably better than what he did in the real season. But it's early. It's only been 2 starts for him, so he can certainly take it on the chin at any time. Lou Whitaker will lead things off for the Tigers. Whitaker hitting 294. These Strat numbers here are very small. 284 rather on the replay. 284, 13 homers, 43 driven in at 265 real world. 3-6, and that's going to be a split chance. 1-8 is a single. That's a 19, so he'll line it to second base where Gantner makes the play. 1 away. And that'll bring up Bill Madlock, the designated hitter. Madlock only had 24 at-bats so far this season since coming over from the Dodgers. 292 is his average on the replay, a homer with 1 run batted in. He had 279 real world. 4-8, and that's going to be a line out right to first base right there for Greg Brock, rather. Not Lou Brock. Greg Brock. 2 quick outs, and that's going to take us to Kirk Gibson, left fielder. Gibson tearing it up on the replay, hitting 382 on the replay, 8 homers, 30 driven in. He only hit 277 real world. 310, and that's a strikeout for Len Barker. First strikeout of the game. And 1 inning in the books with nothing going on here at Tiger Stadium. Again, Brewers won the real game 8-5. But after 1, we are scoreless at Tiger Stadium. Hitter-friendly Tiger Stadium, I might add, particularly for home runs. So we go to the top of the second. Time for more coffee while it's still hot, as they say. Get it while it's hot. Good morning, Chuck, Jeremiah, and Ryan. Or Arnai. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to be pronouncing that. Mr. 77. Maybe I'll go with that route. All right, Rob Deere will lead things off. Deere hitting 243, 6 homers, 31 driven in. He hit 238 real world. 1-8, and that's a strikeout. First strikeout for Terrell. And Deere, no surprise he struck out. He only struck out 186 times in the 87 seasons. Here's Greg Brock. Brock hitting 323 on the replay. 6 homers, 33 driven in. He at 299 real world. 3-8, and that's a solid single. First base hit of the game for either team. Solid single for Greg Brock. But Brock will not go anywhere. He will not be held. Comes Glenn Braggs, right fielder, and we get our first Havoc roll of the game. Haven't had one of those for a while. Let's see here. Glenn Braggs hitting 273, 6 homers, 30 driven in the replay. Hit 269 real world. So 4-6, and that's a base on balls by Terrell. First walk issued by Terrell. And now, all of a sudden, first and second, only 1 out for B.J. Surhoff, the catcher. Surhoff hitting 319 on the replay, 6 homers, 21 driven in. He hit 299 real world. We get a 4-6, and that's going to be a strikeout for Terrell, his second. So 2 away. And it's all going to come down in a clutch situation to Jim Gantner, second baseman in the clutch. He loses a hit on 110. And looks like everywhere else he is neutral. On the replay, he's hitting 277, a homer 12 driven in. He at 272 in the real season. 4-5, and that's going to be a ground ball to Whitaker, and that'll do it. So the single and the walk don't amount to anything as Terrell pitches around it. Go to the bottom of the second, still no score. And Alan Trammell will start things off for the Tigers. It'll be Trammell, Noakes, and Sheridan due up. Trammell, one of the league leaders in the replay and hitting. He's hitting 426, and he's got 176 at-bats, so it's no longer a small sample size. 14 homers, 46 driven in. He hit 343 real world. 4-8, and that's a line out to first, so right to Greg Brock. We're out number 1. So Trammell is gone. Here comes the catcher, Matt Noakes. Noakes is hitting 277 on the replay, 16 homers, 50 driven in. I believe he hit 289. Yeah, 289 real world, hitting 277 on the replay. 3-5, and that's a solid single for Matt Noakes. First hit of the game for the Tigers. Noakes, again, not a threat to run, will not be held. Brings up the right fielder, Pat Sheridan. Sheridan hitting 249, 3 homers, 17 driven in on the replay at 259 real world. Oh, good. You got your extra players. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. All right. This is probably going to be my first year in a while that I don't order from Strat on opening day because there's really nothing there that interests me. So probably we'll just sit that one out. I got enough Strat here to keep me busy for a while anyway. All right. So Sheridan, 5-4, and that is a ballpark single check, but it's only a 1-2, and that's a 10, so that's going to be a fly to center. 2 down. I mean, just to get if I just wanted one season, it's going to be over $100. But by the time you add shipping and Virginia sales tax and everything else, it's up there. So here is Darrell Evans. Evans, first baseman, hitting 278, 15 homers, 36 driven in at 257 real world. .57, single, 1 star. So Noakes can only get second base, but it keeps the inning going. And now with the clutch situation for Chet Lemon, and he's been the one guy that's been struggling all year in the replay. Lemon only hitting 206, 2 homers, 11 driven in. He hit 277 real world. For whatever reason, he's the Joe Carter of the Detroit Tigers this year, as far as replay goes. It's a 3-7, and that's a single 1-3, but that's a 12, so he'll line it to short where it is snagged by Swain, and that's going to do it. So nothing doing for either side through 2 innings. We go to the third, no score. Very important game for the Tigers to try to make up ground in the American League East. Everybody's chasing Milwaukee. That includes the Blue Jays and the Yankees. It's like a 4-way free-for-all. All right, here's Dale Swain. Swain hitting 327 on the replay, 10 homers, 31 driven in. He hit 252 real world. 1-9, and he's going to fly it to center field, so Lemon will take care of that. 1 down. Hello, Tribe fan, or I keep calling you Tribe fan. You'll always be Tribe fan. I don't care. You'll always be Tribe fan. All right, here's Jim Paciorek. 5-12, and that's a ground ball first base C, so that's a good thing. Interesting Tribe fans right here. That's where we got this 3-1 put out from on these ground ball C's and ground ball X's. So it is going to be a ground out to Evans, where Evans will flip it to Terrell covering for out number 2. Doesn't affect the game in any way. It's just a notation to give the pitchers some putouts that they don't normally get, and maybe the first baseman some assists they don't normally get. Here's Robiney out. 111, and that's a fly to right field, and that'll do it. As Sheridan puts it away, 1-2-3 inning for Terrell. So the bottom of the third, no score. Bottom part of the order due up for the Tigers. Mr. number 9 hitter, Tom Brookins, third baseman. Brookins hitting 265 on the replay, 3 homers, 17 driven in. He hit 241 real world. 1-4, and that's a strikeout for Barker. That's his second strikeout. And we're back to the top order for Lou Whitaker. 2-8 for Whitaker, and that'll be a base on balls. First walk issued by Barker. Barker is a -1 hold. When you combine him with Sherhoff, who's a 0, he's a -1. Whitaker needs a 4 or a 5 to get a good lead. And he gets the good lead. He's going to go 16, being held to 14, -1's a 13. 1 to 13, you're still talking, what, 75% chance? 1 to 13. And he's in there. Stolen base for Lou Whitaker. So Whitaker gets into scoring position with only 1 out. And on the replay, let me see what that is for Whitaker now as far as his steals go. In the real season, he stole 13 bases, got caught 5 times. In the replay, that's his 4th steal without being caught. So he's been not as active, but been more careful about his stealing. So he has not been caught. Here's Bill Madlock. That's a 2-11, and that's a fly ball, right field B, question mark, and that's 2 away. So 2 down, and that will send up Kirk Gibson in a clutch situation. Gibson in the clutch will lose a hit on 212. Everywhere else, he appears to be neutral. He struck out his first chance. 2-2, and he's going to ground it to first, and that's going to be Greg Brock to take it, and that'll do it. So 3 innings in the books, and nobody's dented the scoreboard yet. We go to the 4th, no score. Tigers and Brew Crew. I thought about getting the 25 season just to have it, and they claim the card quality is supposed to be, the stock's supposed to be pretty good or improved or whatever. But when I went in to order it, when you add the extra players and then the shipping cost and the Virginia tax, it was over $100. I'm like, do I really want to pay over $100 for one season? Is it really? And for a season I don't even care about. So, and I don't really care about 85 or 52 either. So it just didn't make sense. 75 or 79, I'd have been there in a heartbeat. All right, here's Cecil Cooper. 6-5, and that's a line out to short. Whitaker right there, 1 away. But if those seasons resonate with you, go for it. They just don't do it for me. Maybe next year. All right, here's Rob Deere. Maybe next year at this time, this replay will really be getting near its end, and then I can be ready to move on to something else and maybe do the 26th season or something. I don't know. All right, here's Deere. 1-8, and that's a strikeout, and that's Rob Deere doing Rob Deere things, striking out again. 2 down. And here's Greg Brock. 4-8, and that's a 1-4 double. That's a 12. It'll be a single. So Brock is 2 for 2. So here's Glenn Braggs. Brock not being held, obviously. 5-6, and that's going to be a strikeout for Walt Terrell. Obviously, he's not tired yet, so strikeout number 4, and that'll end the inning. So pitching duel between 2 unlikely candidates, Walt Terrell and Len Barker. Of course, Barker 6 years removed from his perfect game in Cleveland. Went to Atlanta, and one of the worst trades the Atlanta Braves ever made. Took him a while to recover from that, obviously. All right, here is Alan Trammell. 5-4, and that is a ballpark single check. Again, it's only a 1 for right-handers, so that will be a fly to center. And Trammell is out of there. Brings up catcher Matt Noakes. He has singled his first chance. 2-5, and this time he'll do more than that possibly. 1-9's a double, but that's an 18, so it'll be yet another single. But 2 for 2 for Matt Noakes. He, of course, will not be held either. And here is Pat Sheridan, right fielder. Sheridan flew to center his first chance. That's a 6-8, and that's going to be a single to right field. Noakes does not run all that well, and Braggs does have a -2 arm, so they will hold Noakes at second base. First and second, one out for Darrell Evans. Evans singled his first trip. 6-6, and that's going to be a solid double to center field, and the Tigers are on the board first. Solid double. Sheridan will probably score as well. We'll check the numbers, verify that. Sheridan 16, but as a trail runner was not being held, makes him a 17. The double is going to center field. Yount's got a +2 arm. That's a 19. 1 to 19, he will score. And since Evans only runs at a 10, no threat of him going to third, so they can throw through without any consequence. But unless this is a 20, he's going to be safe. And he's in there. So it's a 2-run double for Darrell Evans. Howdy doody, as Appa calls him. The base clearing double. 2-0 Tigers. And that'll take us to Chet Lemon. With Evans at second and 1 out. Tigers now lead 2-0. 4-7, and that's a ground ball shortstop. Actually looking at Swain, he's a 3E25. 3 and 8. Should get to that. 3 and 8. Nobody's being held. So 3 and 8 is a G3. That'll advance the runner. That's a 13, and he's an E25. There's a 13 right there, so that will be an E1 on Dale Swain right there, 25 and a 13. So that's a 1-base error on Dale Swain. E6. That'll put runners at the corners. Still only 1 out for Tom Brookins. Brewers are going to play the infield in. They're already down 2-0. And their offense has been lackadaisical, so they're going to play the infield in. 6-9, and that's a walk. Doesn't matter where they were playing. That's the bases loaded now. And for Barker, that is walk number 2. And he could be running on thin ice at this point. So the Brewer bullpen has started to loosen. There is some activity down there. Bob, yes, I use third. That's just my house rule. I mean, that's not in the rule book, but it's just my house rule. Just trying to be realistic, thinking that a slow runner is not going to be taking these extra bases like you have on the cutoff rule. Particularly when you're playing both sides, you got to make those decisions. So to me, it's easier to do it when you put some parameters on there, so you don't let everybody go haywire. All right, so in the Brewers bullpen, they have left-handed activity in the bullpen. They have John Henry Johnson loosening in their bullpen. John Henry Johnson. Right now, it is Lou Whitaker facing Barker with the bases loaded and 1 out. And the infield still, well, with the bases loaded, they're going to play back for the double play. They're going to hope they can turn that double play and try to get out of the inning. 2-7, and it's another walk. It didn't matter. Bases loaded walk by Barker will bring home another run. And everybody moves up 90 feet. It's now 3-0 for Bill Madlock. The fatigue inning for Barker is next inning, but he may not make it to that point with all these walks that are going on. Here's Madlock. He's a slow runner. He is definitely a double play candidate, so they will play back for the double play. That's if Barker could put the ball across the plate. 3-5. That's a split chance. One's a single. Anything else, he lines to short. So that'll be a line out to Swain for out number 2. So that keeps everybody where they are. But now you got bases loaded, 2 outs for Kirk Gibson, and that's going to be a move that Treblehorn is going to make right here. With the lefty coming up, they will go to John Henry Johnson, the lefty out of the bullpen. So John Henry Johnson will be making an appearance. His job is to get the left-hander Kirk Gibson out. That's the only job he has. So Barker is going to go 3 2/3. Can't close the book on him, obviously, because still got bases loaded here. Although any run now is going to be unearned going forward. So he's going to give up 3 runs, 3 earned runs. That's all he can give up is 3 earned runs. He could give up more actual runs, but that's the earned runs. He walks 3 and he strikes out, I believe, just 2. Struck out Brookins and Gibson. That's it, just 2. And he's given up a total of, I believe, 5 hits. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. But we don't know about this section here yet. All right, so we go to the bullpen for John Henry Johnson, left-hander. And other than their closer, Plesac, he's the only left-hander in the bullpen. So even though he's not very good, they're playing their percentages that he can get the out. In the real season, he was 0-1 with a 9.57 ERA. In the replay, oddly enough, he's 2-0, but his ERA is 17. He's pitched 9 innings, give up 20 hits and 11 walks. So he has been not very good, but somehow or another, I guess because of Milwaukee's runs, he's 2-0. That's kind of baffling there. But anyway, here we go. Bases loaded. Clutch situation for Gibson. Against lefties, he will lose a hit on 3-2. That's a 5-5, and that's going to be another walk. We're going to walk in a run, and the Tigers are going to bat around now. As another run is scored, it's now 4-0. 4-0. And we got to move our innings over now. Number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, so Johnson couldn't get that done. Here's Trammell. Tigers looking to blow this thing wide open. .510, and that's a ground ball shortstop. Actually, looking at Swain, 3E25. His error is why they're still playing right now in this inning. 3E25. 3 and a 5, that's trouble by itself. 3 and a 5. Nobody's being held on, but a 3 and a 5. Ooh, he barely got there. A G3. Wow. That's an 8. E25, and there is no 8 there. So by the skin of his teeth, he's able to make that play. And oddly enough, Alan Trammell makes 2 of the 3 outs in the inning. One of the league's leading hitters, but he makes 2 of the 3 outs within the inning. And it's a 4-score inning for the Tigers. So 4 runs, 3 earned. Going to be Barker's final line. And we go to the top of the 5th. Terrell back out now with a 4-0 lead to work with. His fatigue inning is not until the 7th, so he's got plenty of time. B.J. Surhoff is your batter. Surhoff, the first time up, struck out. 5-5, and this time he flies at the left field where Gibson is waiting. 1 away. The score holds, and Detroit will climb that much closer to the first place Brewers, and will also help out the Yankees and Blue Jays. Here's Gantner. Gantner grounded to second his first time up. 6-7. Ground ball shortstop X. I'm sorry, that's 5-7. 6-7 is a walk. So base on balls, number 2, issued by Walt Terrell. Gantner could get a lead here, but down 4-0. And Terrell with a -2. I just don't think that's worth it. So the Tigers will hold him on, but he won't go anywhere. And here comes Dale Swain. 3-6 for Swain. That's a 1-2 double. 3-20 is a single. 2 stars. So runners will be at the corners with only 1 out. And the top of the order, Jim Paciorek. This is where the Brewers really missed Paul Molitor right now. All right, here's Paciorek, infield for the Tigers. Obviously, with a 4-0 lead, they're playing back for the double play. Swain, no threat to run, so he is not even being held on. to 6-11, and that's a ballpark blast. First one of the game. 6-11 is a ballpark blast. It's 1 to an 11. That's a 7, but he has weak power against right-handers, so it will not be a home run. It'll be a single 2 stars. It will get the Brewers on the board. Gantner scores, and going to third is Swain, but the Tigers avoid the catastrophe run homer. But as it is, the Brewers get on the board. It's now 4-1. Bashoric, also no threat to run, will not be held. Here's Robin Yount. Tigers are looking for that Giovanni's Tailor Shop tailor-made double play to get out of the inning. 4-7. Ground ball second base X. They got a chance for it. Whitaker's a 2E20. Get a friendly D20 roll. They can turn 2. They get a 10. That might be good enough for a G1. We'll see. A 2 and a 10 is a G1, the highest number you can have, or the worst number you can have, I guess, because a 9 would have been a G2, but a 10 is a G1. That is a 12, and Whitaker is an E20 at second base. So E20 at second base, they're hoping to avoid 12s, and they do. There's a 13 sitting right here, but that's a 12. So it'll be a double play. Giovanni's Tailor Shop, double play, will end the inning. 4-6-3. Giovanni's Tailor Shop sponsoring that tailor-made double play. Giovanni's Tailor Shop in Lemoyne, Pennsylvania. If you're up that area, stop by. Tell them Demo sent you. They might give you a discount. They are the unofficial sponsor of this channel. But official or unofficial, the double play is official and gets the Tigers out of a jam. Keeps the score at 4-1. And now some lefties coming up for the Tigers. They will keep John Henry Johnson in the game for the 5th inning, although they do have activity in the bullpen. Let's look and see who they've got down there to possibly toss. Let's see who's got some endurance down there. Don't want to overwork anybody in the Brewer bullpen. Let's see. It looks like Basio can use some work. So Chris Basio is loosening in the bullpen. Chris Basio. But right now, with the 3 left-handers coming up in a row, they're going to go to John Henry Johnson and hope he can get him out of the inning. Noakes is 2 for 2 with 2 singles. 4-8, make it 3 for 3 with 3 singles for Matt Noakes. Base hit for Noakes. That'll bring up Sheridan. Sheridan doesn't have very many at-bats against lefties. He 18%, but this is going to be counted as one of the 18%, I guess. It's a 6-7, and that's a single 2 stars. So John Henry Johnson, he'll face Evans, and that'll be the last batter he's going to face. Runners are at the corners with nobody out. Johnson is a -2 on his hold. So Sheridan, if he wanted to get the lead, wouldn't have a good number here, so we're not going to send him. We'll leave him there. He will be held on, but he won't go anywhere. Here's Darrell Evans. Evans had a big 2-run double his last time up. He's 2 for 2. 3-9 against the lefty, struck him out. And that's going to do it for John Henry Johnson. He will exit. He is going to go 2/3 of an inning, give up 2 hits, no runs, but both these runs are his responsibility. Oops, he did walk a batter. He walked the first batter he faced. So we have 1 walk and 1 strikeout for John Henry Johnson. And now Chris Basio, who has a lot of fatigue, a lot of endurance on his cards, so he could go for a while if he's effective. Chris Basio. Well, I believe later in the season he moves to the starting rotation, but right now he's in the bullpen. So after the strikeout, we go to the computer for the bullpen move and bring in Chris Basio. Get the numbers on Basio. On the real season, Basio was 11-8, 5.24 ERA, and 2 saves. On the replay, he's 1-0 with a 4.96 ERA and 3 saves. So Basio looking to eat some innings here and keep the score where it is. And the first batter he's going to face is Chet Lemon, center fielder. If he's going to face anybody on the Tigers, he's the guy you want to face. He's the guy that's been struggling. .611 is a ground ball first base X. We are looking at Brock. He's a 3E10. 3 and a 13 has possibilities of a double play. Let's see. 3 and a 13, probably a G2 though. 3 and a 13 is a G2. That's a 10 there, and he is an E10. So a 10 and a 10. There's an 11 there, but no 10. So it's going to be a 3 to 6 fielder's choice. The run will score because they were playing back for the double play. So the run will score. Fielder's choice, RBI for Chet Lemon on the 3-6 fielder's choice. They were hoping to, the Brewers were hoping to get that double play, but it didn't work out that way. And it's now 5-1. But there are now 2 outs, and here's Tom Brookins. They're trying to minimize the damage. That's a 6-7, and that's a ground ball second base X. We're looking at Gantner. Gantner a 2E14. 2 and 11, he'll get to that. E14 and an 11. E14, there's no 11 there, so it's a good play. That was the third out, so it didn't matter where it went. He just say he throws to first. Run scores at the end of 5 complete, and that run is charged to John Henry Johnson. So after 5 complete, it is 5-1 favor of the Tigers. And we will head to the top of the 6th, where the Brewers will send Cooper, Deere, and Brock against Walt Terrell. Time for more coffee. So top of the 6th. Not yet the fatigue inning for Terrell. He's got one more inning to go before he runs into that. Cooper, 4-4. That's a ballpark single check, but it's only a 1-2, so that will be a fly to center. And there's one away. Cooper retired. That'll bring up Rob Deere. Deere 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. No surprise there. 5-8, and this time 1-3 is a single, but that's going to be a line out to short. Trammell will snag it. 2 down. So Terrell seemingly easily going through this lineup. There's Greg Brock. 2-9 for Brock, and he will ground it to Evans at first. He'll step on the bag, and that'll do it. Another 1-2-3 inning for Walt Terrell. And we go to the bottom of the 6th. Basio will be facing the top of the order, Whitaker, Madlock, and Gibson. Your scheduled hitters. Whitaker, 2 walks and a stolen base in this game so far. 4-10, and as a fly to right field where Glenn Braggs will put it away. 1 down. Tomorrow's game will be in Oakland Coliseum. It'll be the Chicago White Sox taking on the Oakland A's. Another non-stellar pitching matchup, Neil Allen against Joaquin Andujar. Could be some runs scored in that game. Here's Bill Madlock. 2-10 for Madlock. That's a home run, 1-16, and that's gone. Devil dies a 1. That's gone. 2-10 for Madlock. Home run, 1-16. That's a 1. It is gone. For Bill Madlock, that is his second home run of the replay. He had 14 in the season. Second on the replay, second RBI. Both home runs have been solo shots. And it is now 6-1 ball game. There's Kirk Gibson, but Basio's in there for the duration, I believe. Here's Gibson. 211, and that's a ballpark blast. 1-14, and that's gone. Back-to-back jacks. Look at it again. 211. Ballpark blast for Gibson. Stadium is 1-14 for lefties, and that's a 12. So Gibson goes back-to-back with Bill Madlock to make it a 7-1 game. And for Gibson, that is home run number 9. He had 24 in the real season. Home run number 9, RBI number 32, is now 7-1. Back-to-back jacks. Here's Trammell. Surprisingly, with all this hitting, he's 0 for 3. 4-2 is a ground ball back to Basio, so now he's 0 for 4. 2 down for Matt Noakes. He has singled 3 times, 3 for 3, all singles. 4-8, and he might do it again. 1-13 is a double, 14-20 is a single. That's a 19, so his 4th single of the game for Matt Noakes. Go figure. 4 singles for Noakes. And of course, he will not be held. And here's Pat Sheridan. Basio to Sheridan. That is 2-6, and that's a ground ball to second. Will finally end the inning. But back-to-back home runs from Madlock and Gibson make it now a convincing Tigers 7, Brewers 1 game after 6 innings, as the Tigers are definitely looking to make up a game here in the American League East and get a little bit closer to those Brewers. And Walt Terrell's kind of been large and in charge. Gave up the one run, and that's been it. So top of the 7th, it is Glenn Braggs, who will step at the plate. Oh, cool. Hey, Espo. Hope you've been doing well. Kind of missed you. You're the reason why I'm in Super Advanced. I was playing Advanced for the longest time, but then you had me take the plunge into Super Advanced. I've never looked back, and I don't regret it. So I thank you very much for getting me over the hump, so to speak. Here's Glenn Braggs. 3-9, and that's going to be a fly to left field. 1 away. 1 down, and that will send up DJ Surhoff. This is a fatigue inning for Walt Terrell, but he doesn't look like he's fatigued to me at all. 5-7. That's a ground ball shortstop X. That's Trammell. He's a 1, so you know he's going to get to it. We're just checking E21. And so E21, it's short. You're basically trying to avoid 6-15 and 17. Those are the numbers to avoid, 6-15 and 17. And he does that easily, so nice play by Trammell. 2 down. 2 down, and here is Jimmy Gantner. 1-7, and that's a 1-2 home run. 3-20 is going to be a double, though, so it's a 2-out double for Jimmy Gantner. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Dale Swain. Still considered a clutch situation, even though the score is a little bit out of hand. But by rule, it's a clutch situation. So in the clutch, he will gain a hit on 1-4 and 1-10, and also 3-10. Of course, you could home rule it to say that if the score is a certain distance away, you drop the clutch. I mean, I don't know. I'll say it's very customizable. Do it the way you want to. 6-8, switch hitter batting left. That's a 1-2 single, but that'll be a line out to Whitaker, and that will end the inning. So Terrell will keep plenty of endurance into the 8th inning. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning stretch. But the coffee's still drinkable, so I'm going to keep going. Again, tomorrow's game, 9 Eastern roughly, will be the White Sox and the A's from the Oakland Coliseum. A's still ruling the roost in the AL West in this replay. But California, Chicago, and Kansas City and Minnesota are all on their tail. Here's Darrell Evans. 5'7" is a ground ball shortstop X. So we're looking at Swain. It's a 3E25. 3 and a 4. That's bad news. That's going to get through for a hit. 3 and a 4 will be a single, and that is a 7, and he's an E25. I don't think that'll be an issue. Nope, 4, 13, 17, and 18. So no error, but definitely a base hit by Evans as he sneaks it past Dale Swain, and that'll bring up Chet Lemon, the ever-struggling Chet Lemon. Lemon in this game, 0 for 3. He did reach on an error and score, but he is 0 for 3 officially. As his average continues to plummet, he's down almost at the Mendoza line now. He's 202 on the replay. And he had 277 in real world. 112, that's a ballpark blast for Chet Lemon. 1 to an 11, and that is an 11 right on the number. We are not doing the robbing the home runs. This would be a perfect case to try it. I'm not sure if you could do that at Tiger Stadium. I haven't looked it up to find out, but this is the case where you could potentially rob a home run, but not here. We're not doing the robbing home runs. That 11 is right on the number. So Chet Lemon, a 2-run home run for Chet Lemon. And that's just kind of the coup de grace right there for the Brewers. 2-run shot for Chet Lemon. And for Lemon, that is home run number 3 on the replay. He had 20 of them real world. But he gets home run number 3, RBIs 13 and 14. And the Tigers now lead it by the score of 9-1. Here's Brookins. 4-6, and that's going to be a single 1-3, but that's going to be a line out to Swain. Out number 1. And at this point, Tom Troublehorn just looks at Basio and says, "You got it the rest of the way, pal. We're saving our bullpen. We don't mind losing the battle. We just don't want to lose the war." Here's Whitaker, 6'4", and that's a ground ball third base act. Pachorik, a 4E37. Not very good. 4 and a 6, that's problematic. That's probably going to get through. In fact, I know it will. 4 and a 6 will get through for a single. That is a 12, and he's an E37 at third base. And there's a 12 right here, so it's going to be a single plus an error on Pachorik. So adding insult to injury, it's a single plus an error, and Whitaker will take second base. Single plus the E5. So Pachorik boots it. Here's Madlock. Might get a pinch hitter for Madlock. Sparky might be going to his bench here with this big lead to try to get some guys some at-bats that don't normally get at-bats. So they will have Johnny Grubb take over for at DH for Madlock. Get Grubb an at-bat. So Grubb will be the DH going forward here in the 7th. Johnny Grubb. So let's see what Grubb has done on the season replay. Mr. Grubb. In the real season, Grubb was a 202 hitter with 2 home runs and 13 driven in. In the replay, he's hitting 194 with no homers and 8 runs batted in. So Johnny Grubb gets an at-bat. 6-6, and look at this. 1-4 is a triple. 5-20 a single. That'll be a base hit. It's a 2-star single. So it's an RBI single from Johnny Grubb, an RBI pinch hit single for Johnny Grubb. And things are going from bad to worse for the Tigers. For the Brewers, rather. So we will get another pinch hitter. Terry Harper will get an at-bat and come in and hit for Gibson, as Sparky's just cleaning the bench out now because he figures the game's in hand and you might as well give some backup guys some chances. Pinch hitter in the 7th, and he'll play left field in the 8th. So the RBI single from Grubb makes this now a 10-1 game. And now we go to the bullpen, or not the bullpen, but to the bench for Terry Harper. And Harper to pinch hit for Kirk Gibson. Give Gibson the rest of the game off. On the real season, Terry Harper, 203, 3 homers, 10 driven in. In the replay, he's hitting 262, 3 homers, 12 driven in. Basio still hanging in there. 6-8, and that's going to be a strikeout. The computer says he's not tired yet, so we're going to stick with what they have here. But a 6-8 is a strikeout with a dot, but the computer's telling me he's not fatigued yet, so we'll go with it. Harper is out. And now they would pinch hit for Trammell, but he's 0 for 4. They want to get him a hit, so in case he has some sort of hitting streak going on, they don't want to mess that up. So they will leave Trammell in the game to hit against Basio. That's a 1. First Havoc roll, we got all game on that. So Basio's wild pitch rating as 1 is checking for a wild pitch is a 16. So 1 to 16, it's going to be a wild pitch. And that's exactly what we have, wild pitch. And that'll send Grubb to second base on the wild pitch. Turns this into a clutch situation by definition, which is going to hurt Trammell because he loses a couple hits here. That's a 4-7. It's coming off of Basio. It's a single to left field. So that could be another run right there. Check the run rating of Grubb. He runs at a 10, same as Madlock. He was not being held, makes him an 11. 2 outs makes him a 13. It went to left field. Deer is a -2. That'd be a 1 to 11 chance. So I think they're just going to hold him up right there. But Trammell finally gets on the board with a base hit, puts runners at the corners with 2 outs for Matt Noakes, who is 4 for 4. So I'm not going to pinch hit for him either because he's got a chance to get 5 hits in the game. Not going to let a guy miss that opportunity. Basio now has officially become tired in the Strat computer. But with 2 outs, they're going to try to get him through the inning. And they'll have somebody else pitch the 8th. Possibly a position player. Here's Noakes. 4 for 4, all singles. 3-5 for Noakes is a single, but it's an anti-clutch single. He will lose the hit. With the runner at third and 2 outs, he loses the hit. That keeps him from going 5 for 5. That would have been a single on the 3-5, but it's the anti-clutch. So it turns into a pop to second because of the 2 outs and runner on third situation. And Basio, fortunately for him, gets out of the mess. 3 runs come in for the Tigers, though. But Noakes almost had his 5th hit of the ball game. So now we go into the Strat computer and put these guys in defensively. So Grubb stays in at DH. Harper is now in left field. Let's see what else we have here. I was trying to hit this. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to hit the mute button. Wasn't fast enough on the draw for that. They'll let, let's see here. We got Whale Wander. We're going to let Whale Wander take over at second base for Whitaker. So Whale Wander will take over at second base for Lou Whitaker. He is, and now my pen's starting to run out of ink. Or give me something bad. All right, so we'll go to Whale Wander. He's a 3E23, so not horrible. 3E23 for Whale Wander. And that takes Whitaker out of the game. Gives him the rest of the game off. They still have Heath and Herndon on the bench if they want to do anything else, but I think they're going to stick with what they have right now. If they had Bergman on the roster, they'd probably bring him in for Evans, but we're not going to do that. Terrell certainly is still going to pitch, obviously, as we go to the top of the 8th of what is now a laugher, so to speak. 10-1, 10 runs, 15 hits, and no errors for the Tigers. 1 run, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Brew Crew. So the Brew Crew not playing like a first-place team in this one for sure. All right, here's Paciorek, but you get these games once in a while. 1-4, and that's going to be a strikeout for Paciorek. And for Walt Terrell, that'll be strikeout number 5. He hasn't had one since the 4th inning. So Terrell with the strikeout. Here's Robin Yount. 4-9. That's a solid double for Robin Yount. His first hit of the game. And that'll bring up Cooper. Cooper is 0 for 3. That's a 1. Walt Terrell's wild pitch rating is a 7. And it will be a wild pitch that will send him to third base. So he's at third, where Cooper could score him on a sacrifice fly or even a ground out with the infield back. Two 6 for Cooper. Ground ball shortstop A with the hit to the middle of the infield, that will produce the run. Had that gone to first or third, he would have had to hold. But with it going to the middle infield where they're back, that's an RBI ground out for Cecil Cooper. And that cuts the lead to 10-2. But now there are 2 outs and the bases are cleared for Rob Deere. We might get a pinch hitter for Rob Deere. He has not fared very well against Walt Terrell. So Brewers going to their bench, and they will bring on Rick Manning to pinch hit, and he'll stay in the game to play left field. So Manning will do the pinch hitting here in the 8th and left field in the 8th for Mr. Deere. Get the numbers on Manning. And again, this is a good time to get some of your bench players some at bats. When you get the DH going, a lot of times you don't get a chance to use your bench as much as you would in a National League game. So it's a good time to do it. Let's see here. Manning on the real season hit 228, no homers, 13 driven in. On the replay in 27 at bats, he's hitting 333, no homers, 4 driven in. He's 9 for 27. 3 of those 9 hits are a double, 1's a triple. So 2 outs, bases clear for Rick Manning. 1-9, and he's going to ground it to first where Evans will make the play, and that'll do it. So Terrell, chance to finish what he started. No reason to use the bullpen that I can see at the moment. So now the Brewers, first of all, we need to bring in put Rick Manning in left field in this one. And now, do they have anybody in their bullpen that they would want to use? Yeah, Jay Aldridge needs some work, so we'll use Jay Aldridge. I won't go with the position player. I'll go with Jay Aldridge because he does need the work, even though he's not very good. But it doesn't matter at this point. Aldridge on the real season was 3-1 with a 4.94 ERA. And let's see what he's done in the real season. All right, on the real season, he was 3-1 with a 4.94 ERA and no saves. On the replay, he's only pitched 1 inning so far. He hasn't given up any runs. He has given up 1 hit, no walks, no strikeouts. But Aldridge is in to pitch the 8th inning. And we need to go to the Strat computer to get the totals on Basio. He 8 innings. That was his job, and he did it. 2 2/3 worth. 8 hits and 5 runs. Certainly took a ding on his ERA. No walks and 1 strikeout. All right, so Aldridge will be facing Sheridan, Evans, and Lemon due up for the Tigers. at Sheridan. 5-3, and that's going to be a strikeout for Jay Aldrich to start things off here in the 8th inning. A strikeout. So Sheridan out on strikes, and here's Darrell Evans. Evans is 3 for 4. 6-6, and he's going to pop it up to first. That'll be Brock right there. 2 up and 2 down for Aldrich. And that'll send up Chet Lemon, who had the 2-run homer his last time up, to get off to Schneid. 112, and that's another ballpark blast. 1-11, but that's a 17, so this time he will fly it to left field and miss out on that home run. So 1 inning pitch for Aldrich, and he struck 1 out and didn't do anything else. So that's it for him. And we go now to the top of the 9th. Score still 10-2. And Walt Terrell looking to complete what he started. See what he can do here against Brock, Braggs, and Surhoff are the scheduled hitters for the Brew Crew. Hello, Mr. Clinton. Good to see you. Came in late on a blowout, so can't help that. But Walt Terrell is going for a complete game, so that's the only drama here. 10-2, Tigers, top of the 9th. Brock, the batter, 6-3 is a fly ball right field X. We are looking at Sheridan, 2E9 for Sheridan. 2-13, he'll get to that. E9, well, that's a 15. That could be trouble. E9 and a 15 for an outfielder. E9, there's a 16, 11, 3, and 18, but no 15. So Sheridan makes the play and avoids trouble. 1 away. And here's Glenn Braggs. 2-11 for Braggs, and that's a single. There's no clutch to worry about here, just a solid single for Glenn Braggs. That'll bring up Surhoff. He's 0 for 3. That's a 3-4 for Surhoff, and that's going to be a ballpark single check, but it's only a 1-2, but that's a 1. The double die shows up as a 1, so it will be a base hit. Kind of a bad break there for Terrell. And that brings up Jimmy Gantner. .110 for Gantner, and that's a single to center. Again, there are not 2 outs, so there's no clutch to worry about. Single to center. Let's see, Braggs is your lead runner. 15 not being held is a 16. -1 there's a 15. 1-15. But Gantner would take, Surhoff would not take third because he's less than 13 here. So they will hold him up. They're not going to take any chances down by 8 runs. You don't run yourself out of an inning. So the bases are now loaded for Dale Swain, and the Tiger bullpen now starting to stir as Walt Terrell has officially reached fatigue. So let's look in the Tiger bullpen and see who they've got that they need to call on. They were hoping Terrell would get the complete game, but it's getting less and less likely. There is a non-carded player, Mike Madden, who's on the roster. He only pitched 2 innings all year. He's got a 16.20 ERA. Don't know if I really want to use him or not, but it's possible. You've also got Henneman, who is not overworked. And you got Willie Hernandez, who's not really overworked. So you got 2 guys there. I really don't want to go to Mike Madden. I really prefer not to do that. All right, here's Swain. They're going to see if Terrell can finish the game. Hello, are you ready? So bases loaded, 1 out. Dale Swain, the batter. That's a 1. Again, Walt Terrell's wild pitch rating is a 7. No wild pitch as it's blocked over there by Matt Noakes. We get a 6-7 switch hitter batting left, and that's a walk. He's going to walk in a run. So they will walk in and run, and that will be all for Walt Terrell. That'll do it for Terrell. They try to get him through the game, but he can't quite do it. He's going to go 8 1/3. 8 1/3 for Walt Terrell. And they will turn to Mike Henneman to wrap things up. Obviously not a save situation. Bashork is your scheduled hitter, but I do believe they will pinch hit for him with a left-hander. So we'll see. First things first, we got to bring in from the bullpen Mike Henneman. So Terrell couldn't quite finish it, but a nice effort nonetheless. Henneman, 11-3, 2.98 ERA and 7 saves on the real season. On the replay, he's 3-3 with a 3.57 ERA and 3 saves. And obviously, this is a non-save situation. So the Brewers are going to look at their bench to see if they can find somebody better than Jim Paciorek to hit. And they've got this guy Paul Molitor sitting over there. So they're going to bring in Paul Molitor. He is on the roster, so I'm playing it that he's available. He might have been in a real world up where they didn't want him to play, but I think they could at least pinch hit him. So Paul Molitor will hit. And he'll hit with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 9th of a 10-3 game. Paul Molitor. On the real season, Paul Molitor, in the actual season, he hit 353 with 16 homers and 75 runs driven in. On the replay, in 130 at-bats, he's hitting a dead even 400. 7 homers, 27 driven in. Infield back for the double play. Henneman looking to get out of the mess. 4-11, and that's going to be a fly ball right field X. We're looking at Sheridan. 2E9 for Sheridan. Oh, 2-2. Devil Die did not cooperate right there. 2-2 is going to be a single 2 stars. And that's a 7, and he is an E9. There is no 7, but it's a single 2 stars, a 2-run single, pinch hit single from Molitor. And all of a sudden it's 10-5. There's still only 1 out and runners at the corners. And Robin Yount, your batter. So Henneman unable to help himself there, courtesy of the Devil Die messing him up. So that Sheridan, who's normally a pretty good fielder, couldn't get to it. But Mike Henneman facing Robin Yount. Yount has doubled his last time up. He's 1 for 4. Got Swain at third and Molitor at first. Molitor, he's going to be held, but he's not going to run anywhere. And here is Yount. 2-10 for Yount. And that's a 1-15. Boy, a 2-9 would have ended the ball game. 2-10's a 1-15 single, but that's a 17. So he lines it to Trammell at short for out number 2. And it's down to Cecil Cooper. Last chance for the Brew Crew. Cecil Cooper is 0 for 4. And do you pinch hit for Cecil Cooper is the question. They do have Mike Felder they could go to. Who's a little bit better hitter. Not a whole lot better, but a little bit better. I think we'll stick with the veteran Cooper. We'll stay with him. Basically, it's now a clutch situation, by the way, now for Cooper. So we'll look at his clutch rating. He does gain some hits in the clutch. Another reason to keep him in there. 1.9 and 1.10 turn into hits, and so does 3.5, and so does 2.8. So he gets a bunch of hits in the clutch. So one of the reasons why he's staying in there. 1-6, but this time he grounds it to Whitaker. To Whale-Wander at second, and that's going to end the ball game. But 3 runs do come in, but the Tigers hang on and win it by the score of 10-5. And we'll get the totals as we go to the box score. So the winning pitcher is Walt Terrell. He improves to 7-1. Officially for Terrell, 8 1/3 innings, 9 hits, and 5 runs. So it ended up being a very pedestrian outing with those 3 runs getting to him late. 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. So Henneman didn't give up any runs, but he gave up 3 inherited runners. Um, or actually, yeah, he gave up all three inherited runners. So Henneman goes 2/3 of an inning. He's going to give up one hit and nothing else. But that one hit definitely produced some runs. All right, so we'll go our totals here for the Tigers: 10 runs, 15 hits, no errors. For the Brew Crew, 5 runs, 10 hits, and 2 errors. Losing pitcher is Len Barker. He drops to 2-1. Winning pitcher Terrell improves to 7-1. Player of the game, give it to several guys. Matt Noakes was 4 for 5. They were all singles. Not sure how consequential they were, but he did score a couple of runs. You did have Evans, who had a 3 for 5 game with a couple of runs scored. So different guys you could choose, I guess. But more just a team effort, I suppose. So Milwaukee won the real game 8-5, but Detroit flips the tables on them and wins it 10-5. So with the loss, Milwaukee now 35-19, Tigers 33-22. And let's see what we're looking like on the standings now. With this game now in the books, Milwaukee is now tied with Toronto, but Milwaukee holds a percentage point lead. Milwaukee is 35-19, Toronto is 36-20. So percentage points, but they're actually tied. Yankees are a game and a half back, and the Tigers are now 2.5 back, as they are 33-22, and the Yankees are 36-23. So bunching up there in the American League East. Tomorrow we'll be in Oakland. It'll be the first place Oakland A's, who have a record of 33-23. And they'll be taking on the Chicago White Sox, who have a record of 26-28. The White Sox are 6 games back. So the White Sox really need to win that game to climb back into it. They're kind of falling behind times. They're tied with Kansas City for 4th. Minnesota and California have surpassed them, as the White Sox have gone on a slight losing streak. They've lost 3 in a row, rather. So that'll be the game tomorrow. And then we'll figure out what's going to happen the rest of the way. What we'll probably do is extend the June 10th game into next week, because we got a couple of June 10th games left to play. Texas and Seattle and Cleveland, California. We'll play those next week. There are only 2 games scheduled on June the 11th because it's a travel day on Thursday. So we'll play those 2 games on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we'll figure out about Friday. So that's the plan going forward. Tomorrow's game will be from Oakland. It'll be the A's and the White Sox. It'll be not a very good pitching matchup at all. It'll be Neil Allen for the White Sox and Joaquin Andujar for the Oakland A's. But they're on the schedule, and the pitching matchup is set up, and that's the way we play it. So final score from Tiger Stadium: Tigers win it 10-5. Walt Terrell improves to 7-1, and the Tigers pull to within 2.5 games of the Brew Crew. 3 games back in the loss column, but 2.5 overall of the Brew Crew. And on the 2 games that are going to be played next week, or next day, I should say, on the 11th of June, the 2 games that are actually scheduled on that date include Milwaukee and Detroit. And that'll be Bill Wegman against Jeff Robinson. The other game is Toronto at Baltimore, Joe Johnson against John Habian. So not exactly stellar matchup in that one, but that's just the way it works. And then when you get to Friday, June 12th, whole new setup of opponents come around. Boston will be at Detroit. California will be at Kansas City. Cleveland will be in Seattle. The Brewers will be in New York, a big series against the Yankees. The Twins will be in Chicago. They actually have a doubleheader scheduled that day, Twins and Chicago. So we'll probably play that first game of the doubleheader maybe on that Friday when there's no game really scheduled. And then we have Oakland in Texas, and then we have Toronto at Baltimore. So Boston at Detroit is the very first game that's listed. But, of course, going east to west, I'd probably default to Baltimore or New York, probably to New York first and then to Baltimore. So that's how that is going to work. Interesting matchup when Boston goes to Detroit. It'll be Roger Clemens and Frank Tanana. So that'll be something to look forward to. Get some better pitching matchups. Dr. D, I probably will do the Carlton replay or Carlton game probably closer to noon because Uncle Ron doesn't have a game tonight this afternoon, according to what he said. He had a game yesterday and a game tomorrow. So I'll wait a couple minutes and make sure he's not on at noon. But if he's not on at noon, I'm going to do the Carlton payoff pitch game at noon today. They're back home in Philadelphia, Veterans Stadium, against the San Francisco Giants. And if I'm not mistaken, Ron Bryant, a lefty, is on the mound for the Giants in that game. So that'll be at noon today, assuming that Uncle Ron doesn't pop in, unannounced. Because, like I said, I was looking at his schedule, and he said he was playing yesterday and today. I'm sorry, yesterday and tomorrow. So I'm going to believe that's what he's going to be doing. So we'll go with it. And if he pops in, then I'll just back away and let him have the stage. So that's what we're going to plan for. So probably looking about maybe 12. I would say 12:05 because if he's not on by 5 after, that probably means he's not going to play because he's usually very punctual. Unlike me, where I show up whenever. But he's usually pretty punctual. If he says noon, it's usually noon. So I'll start it at 12:05, roughly. And like I said, it'll be payoff pitch. It'll be the Phillies and the Giants from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Phillies just had 3 games in a row on the West Coast where they played the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres. And now they get to come back home for some home cooking against the Giants and the Dodgers. I believe the first 2 games coming up. The Mets are in there somewhere too. I'm not sure. But either way, that's what's on the agenda. So until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you folks down the road. Have a good day, everybody.